Seen through the eyes of Christianity, the Broadway musical Mary Poppins reeks of Pentecost, with Mary Poppins representing the movement of God's Spirit, never knowing which way it will blow, ready to transform lives. Another major character in the musical, of course, is Bert. There's almost a magical quality about him, too. He always seems to be at the right place at the right time, making a difference in people's lives. But unlike supernatural Mary, Bert is a regular human being like us. He doesn't have magical powers. But because he is receptive to Mary, because he has a relationship with her, and because he is willing to work with her, Bert becomes instrumental in making a difference in people's lives. You can hardly summarize the gospel message any better than that. For if we are open and attentive and receptive to the movement of God's Spirit, if we embrace and develop our relationship with God and are willing to be used by God, amazing things can happen. We can help transform lives, including your own. Like Jesus, Mary Poppins likes to hang out with all sorts of people. And she gets the children, Jane and Michael, out of their one-dimensional lives and takes them into the world to meet all kinds of people and creatures. She tells the children, never judge things by their appearance. On their first outing to the park, they meet Bert, and despite their reservations about his ragged clothes and dirty face, Mary Poppins teaches the children that they must learn to look past appearances. Mary also teaches Jane and Michael the importance of helping others, especially those less fortunate. Outside of St. Paul's Cathedral, she introduces them to the old bird woman. In the hauntingly beautiful song, Feed the Birds, we see the poor old woman giving the little she has away. If we listen carefully, we can hear Jesus' words to Peter, feed my sheep. And as you did it to the least of these, you did it unto me. Surprisingly, it's hard to find a musical that broadcasts the Christian message more than Mary Poppins. But the musical also points to the teachings in the Old Testament, or as I like to refer to it, as the Hebrew Scriptures. Several weeks ago, I preached about the wisdom literature in the Hebrew Scriptures. The book of Proverbs, for instance, is one of the books in the Bible that is classified as wisdom writings. Wisdom is what we learn from our experiences or from the experiences of others. If we are observant and we are willing to learn. The little sayings in the book of Proverbs are things people have learned over the years through their experiences. Mary Poppins offers these kinds of proverbs too. I call them Poppisms. One Poppism is well begun is half done. Well begun is half done. Mary is reminding us that much depends on the beginning of an endeavor. What you invest in something, how much time and effort you put into something at the beginning can determine how successful you will be. And by the way, that's a Poppism that Mary got from Aristotle. Or maybe Aristotle got it from Mary because she's timeless. Another Poppism is a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Some of you may recall that Mary taught that one to poet John Keats. Another Poppism is one I really need to focus on. Enough is as good as a feast. Enough is as good as a feast. That is, we don't need more than enough of anything. Just the right amount is as good as more than enough. There is no value in excess. We have a study group here at the church focusing on a book by Adam Hamilton titled Enough. Helen Downing's the facilitator of the group. Helen, you all don't need to meet and study the book. You just need to gather and watch Mary Poppins. Now we know where Adam Hamilton gets his material. There's a Poppism that's in the Broadway musical that's actually not in the movie. It's implied by the movie, but for the Broadway show, they wrote a new song titled Anything Can Happen, which is a song about faith. Here are some of the lyrics. Anything can happen if you let it. Sometimes things are difficult, but you can bet it doesn't have to be so. Changes can be made. You can move a mountain if you use a larger spade. If you have a faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to the mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Back to another verse. Anything can happen. It's a marvel. You can be a butterfly or just stay larval. Stretch your mind beyond fantastic. Dreams are made of strong elastic. Take some sound advice and don't forget it. Anything can happen if you let it. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. One of my favorite teachings of Mary Poppins is the importance of laughter, which is a proverb, right? A cheerful heart is good medicine. We're all aware of the medical studies that have been done to show the positive effects of laughter. Dr. William Fry of Stanford University Medical School says laughter is internal jogging. He says, we have a lot of evidence that shows mirth and laughter affect most of the major physical systems of the body in a positive way. The medical world tells us that laughter, even when it is faked, relaxes the whole body. A good hearty laugh relieves physical tension and stress, leaving our muscles relaxed for up to 45 minutes. Laughter also boosts the immune system. It decreases stress hormones and increases immune cells and infection-fighting antibodies, thus improving our resistance to disease. Laughter also triggers the release of endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals. And laughter also protects the heart. It improves the function of blood vessels and increases blood flow, which can help protect us against a heart attack and other cardiovascular problems. When you came into this sanctuary this morning and you laughed, you got more life in you. We gave you more years to live. You remember that next week when you give the offering, okay? Laughter, of course, not only helps us physically, but also emotionally. Henry Ward Beecher wrote, "A person without a sense of humor is like a wagon without springs, jolted by every pebble in the road." We need to laugh. And it's deeply spiritual in the sense that laughter is often a sign that we don't take ourselves too seriously, that we know that God is God. And we are human. And it is in God we trust, not we ourselves. But when our ego is involved, when we think our way is the only way, when we try to play God, we don't laugh very much, do we? Have you ever noticed that in any situation when your ego is infested, afraid, or needy, it's very hard to smile? But when the truth is not your personal possession, it's very easy to smile. Jesus taught about dying to self, about becoming egoless, to let go of our control. Being able to laugh, especially at ourselves, is a big part of the faith experience and a mature faith. And then finally, the main theme of Mary Poppins, the overall theme of the entire story, is loving those who are closest to us, spending time with them, and not giving them the leftovers. The children's father, Mr. Banks, is a workaholic. All he can do and think about revolves around his job. Same is true for Mrs. Banks. She's devoted to her causes, wonderful causes like for the rights of women, but she's so devoted that she, like Mr. Banks, constantly ignores and avoids her children. We remember the occasion when the disciples got mad at a woman for using very expensive oil to wash the feet of Jesus. We could have sold that oil and given the money to the poor, they said, but Jesus rebukes them and tells them that this woman has done a good thing. Mary has done a good thing because he will not always be with them. He says, the poor will always be with you, but I will not be. Our family members, our spouses, our children, our parents are rare treasures that are not permanent. We must value them. And so Mary Poppins helps Mr. and Mrs. Banks realize the importance of showing our love for those closest to us and not giving them just the leftovers. The closing song's title, "Let's Go Fly a Kite," is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for let's spend time together. Let's start loving and appreciating each other. We again come back to that wonderful quote by Henry Amiel that we say so often around here, but we've got to hear it over and over again. Life is short, and we don't have much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel the way with us, so be swift to love and make haste to be kind. In other words, let's go experience life together. Let's go celebrate our relationship. Let's go fly a kite. And now, as a community of faith, we have the opportunity to come together to share a meal. So let's go have communion. Amen and amen.